My favorite thing about Lara Croft is that she's a kick-ass character who's female. I mean, they're really they're very rare. You know, I remember when I used to go to Hollywood and pitch ideas a lot. There were a couple like female stars at the time that wanted to be action stars, and you're trying to develop stuff for them. But there's very little sort of history to work off, very little precedent. And I think you know, there were very few, so like Ripley from Alien or Wonder Woman. So Lara Croft to me is very modern and also very strong, yet feminine, and I think that doesn't happen very frequently. I was a big Lara Croft fan. I remember buying the original Tomb Raider game, and I mean I play a lot of games, but hardly ever to completion, and that one I played maybe 2 or 3 times just to find all the little Easter eggs and whatnot. And you know, it was a game that my kids actually got into. They were very young at the time. They'd sit and watch me play, and I think because there was a lot of the puzzle element to the storyline, that it wasn't just a scroll type game where you just killed things as you move left or right. There was a lot of sort of thought, and I thought they presented the story and developed the character very well through the game mechanism. Lara Croft has the twin Uzis, but I mean, throughout the game you're always sort of upgrading the weapons and stuff. You know, very acrobatic type character. So I thought she had a very cool but very functional costume. So I would say, like, when I drew her in sort of the original getup with kind of additional weapons, that's what felt most Lara Croftish to me, I guess. I've seen both of the movies that came out. She's in that sleek silver suit and black jumpsuit and everything. And I know the sort of creative decisions that went into doing that, but to me, Lara Croft is always in that kind of blue tank top with the khaki shorts and the 2 Uzis. And so getting to draw that version of it was very cool. I would say my role in this was more as sort of executive producer. I sat in on all the early meetings with Chris Gage, the writer, and the lead creative on this, Carlos de Anda, and we sort of talked about what the story was going to be, what the characters would look like, in terms of how we were going to animate them. Were they going to be complex shapes? Were they going to be more drawn out? What kind of style we were going to use for it? And what sort of production look we would have to this, you know, sort of the color palette, all that kind of stuff. And then once those decisions were made, and it really is just like sitting there and we all kind of creatively input, and all our decisions, really, all our input is sort of valued equally. The team then went and started developing different aspects of the production. I did a lot of the early designs on all the main characters just to make sure that they had that kind of Wildstorm feel, but I let the guys like JJ and Mike Lopez make it their own. The style's very clean, very animated, and that's really what they do best. A style like mine, like my comic book style, is very scratchy. It's got a lot of lines, a lot of detail. That translates horribly into animation, so we knew we couldn't do that, but we wanted to retain a lot of the grace and power of what I try to put in the figure work into the animated version. I love what I do, and you know, one of the great things about working at Wildstorm is that we get to do cool projects like this. I mean, I love drawing the comics, and I love, you know, interfacing, working with writers like Frank Miller, but I don't think I could just be strictly a freelance artist and doing that from my home. I love being in this sort of studio environment, working with other artists, you know, rubbing elbows with them, and getting the chance to do cool stuff like this. I mean, this is something that no one here had worked on before, and it was really trial by fire.
I guess the lead on the Tomb Raider project. When they came up to us, and asked us to do the animation, I wasn't really sure what to do because we don't really have that much experience doing that. But what we do have plenty of experience on is doing comics, so I figured we'd take the approach of those old like Fantastic Four tunes that they would have back in the, like the 60s, I think, or whatever, you know, where we'll just take a Jack Kirby drawing and do simple animation. So I figured instead of doing however many frames per second, which we didn't really know how to do that well, we just do a nice drawing and then do simple animation with it. The process was great. We learned a lot, and that's where you realize just how much work animation really is. And to any of those guys that do animation, you're my heroes. I don't know how you do it. It's a lot of work.
Me and JJ did most of the figure work, and then Carlos and Oliver did most of the backgrounds and most of the designs. So it was kind of cool for us to just kind of go in and just do the characters, because that's our forte. And it was kind of cool because we had to come up with a style that we could all work in.
And my favorite part overall was just, designing, I love drawing backgrounds. I'm crazy with that stuff. Designing the ships. Overall, I enjoyed all of it. It was my first time actually dabbling kind of into this type of animation.
I like drawing Blunt on there. He was fun. He like the old captain of the ship. He was fun. He was a blast, And I don't know why. I guess he had Disney proportions. Thanks to Michael Lopez. He's a blast also. I like to use that word. Yeah, the process we start off with, we start off with the storyboards, and then we rough it out to get the proportions and stuff in the frame, and then do overlays. So I overlaid it. I want to draw him separate from his arms. So when you put them all together, it forms that, but clean. And you can make this move separately.
I like to think that we can do anything, and comics is our sort of primary passion, but we can do game design, we can do animation, we can do designs for sneakers, done that. So there's all sorts of cool stuff that comes up, and so every day is it's a new adventure, really.